Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com, and welcome back to another Q&A. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties today, so I wanted to check in with anybody watching live to see if you can see me now. I know that some of you are just seeing the icon. Hopefully, I see lots of comments, but I don't know if anybody can even see us. This is very weird. Let's see here. It looks like that's working now. Okay. I apologize. I wish I didn't have to record all of this, but if anybody can see us, let us know. I don't think they can hear or see us. This has never happened before. It looks like it's working from my end, but it looks like nobody can. All you're seeing is the icon. What a bummer. We might have to completely start over, but we might lose everybody. Yeah. I'm gonna give it another minute. Oh, okay. Yes. Hi. Now we have confirmation finally. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in and for your patience. And I'm sorry for the recording, including that little glitch right there, but I'm glad that it looks like for some reason today we had to click the record button before it worked. And I just want to make sure the sound is sounding good. I know the internet connection here isn't incredibly strong, but we will do our best with what we have here today. And we will get started. Let me just turn on my little box here. I obviously have a guest with me live today, which is really cool. If any of you saw the post for this video today, you will know that this is my sister Mary.
Hi.
And I feel a little out of whack today because of the technical difficulties, but let me just get started
Probably just because I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
You just feel out of whack when your sister's around.
That's what happened. You're a bad luck charm. No, she's not.
Wacky.
Yeah. Weird. Okay. For anybody who's brand new to watching these videos, I apologize if this one seems a little wacky because it's a little bit different, but being back at my parents' home is definitely changing my normal way of doing things. But welcome if you're brand new. I'm so excited to have you here today, and you can interact with us, which is really cool. This is the whole reason I do these live Q&As, is because it's a really wonderful way to connect with you and to answer your questions. And the way these work is I have a few prepared questions that have been sent in from people, and Mary, I picked them out specifically that Mary can help me answer them, and I'll tell you more about her in just a moment. If you're watching live, it is amazing because you do get to interact, and there's a few ways to do that. So one is to watch live on the Google Plus event page. That is the only way we're able to see your questions. So you have to go to the event page, start the event, and then there's a little box on the side called the Q&A app that allows you to ask your questions live. And you can ask them at any point. We're just going to see them towards the end of this. So we're going to start off with some prepared questions, and then we'll get to that. We cannot see questions that are asked live when they're on YouTube or on the event page or on Facebook or Twitter. You have to ask them in that Q&A app. And if you're watching on a mobile device, you should still be able to ask there. You might need to use the free Google Plus Hangouts app in order to use it there. I know it's a little complex, but it just takes a little bit of time, and then you'll be able to figure out. And it makes a really wonderful way for us to hear what you have to say here today, and that's why we're here. We want your feedback and follow-up questions, anything we talk about, and for you to jump in too. If you're watching the recording, again, I apologize for the technical glitch today. But the cool thing is when you watch the recording, you can actually skip forward through anything. You'll be able to click in the description field on YouTube or SoundCloud to go to specific sections of the recording to watch just that part, so you don't have to watch the entire length of these long videos here. And what else did I want to say? Oh, in the future, if you want to ask questions, there's two really neat ways to do it. That one is through the bit.ly link where you submit your questions into a form, and that's in the description field, and those are where we pulled the questions from today. So I intend to answer all of those in the upcoming Q&As. I spread them out. Or you can actually ask by sending in a free voicemail through this really cool feature called SpeakPipe. And that allows you to record your voice, and that way I can hear what you have to say, which is really neat. Cool. A lot more interactive. We don't have any of those today, sadly. Nobody sent them in that apply to us today. But I love hearing from you there. And I think that's it. We should jump right in and go. All right. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, it goes without saying, I'm Whitney's sister, Mary, and this is my first live YouTube Hangout, Google Hangout, whatever you call it. So I'm really excited to be here. I, of course, follow everything that Whitney does online. Don't. Well, I mean, I get.
She didn't even know I did these.
I at least get Facebook notifications, and I read them most of the time. Sometimes. Yeah, I am a vegetarian. I like to eat vegan when I can, especially when Whitney's home, like she is now. She cooks some really amazing meals, and we really get to try some new things whenever she's home, and everything's always amazing. It's just, I don't know, I'm just vegetarian when I'm on my own, but when I'm with Whitney, majority of the time I eat vegan, so it's pretty great when she's home. I wish I could be around all the time because I probably would be vegan in that case.
Well, I'm always trying to inch her closer to it. And that's part of the reason why I thought it would be cool to have her on today. A few of you requested it because I recorded a video recently about, coexisting with non-vegans. And a lot of people want to know what it was like from my family's perspective. So Mary can offer that from her standpoint and of not being a vegan, and we can just explore that whole topic. So any questions you have about what it's like to be family members that eat differently, if you have questions about, vegetarian versus vegan and food choices there, we're going to be exploring a lot of that today. Plus, Mary's profession is a horse rider, so we're going to be covering that topic from the vegan and vegetarian animal rights perspective as well. She has some interesting insights into that. But before we begin with the questions, we actually have a little product review for you.
Yes.
We are both really big fans of So Delicious, and they sent us over a ton of their products. Now, in the past, we've tried their coconut milks, their holiday coconut milks. They've got, probably my favorite is this mint chocolate coconut milk.
So good.
It's so amazing. I have to, try not to drink it all. And these only come out during the holidays. Somebody asked if they still use carrageenan. And this one does not have any carrageenan in it. I'll check all the. It's a type of sea vegetable that some people are concerned about because of some potential health risks. So a lot of companies are starting to take it out of their products, and that's all because of consumer demand, which is neat. Then we have my second favorite, which is the Nog. If you've ever been looking for an eggnog alternative as vegan, this is really good,
just want good eggnog.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be vegan to enjoy this, of course.
No, you don't.
But we've actually made French toast with this. They actually have a recipe on the back of it. And all you need is bananas, the Nog, cinnamon, vanilla, and bread.
It's unreal.
And that's all. And you can make this incredible Nog-flavored French toast. Does this have a recipe? Oh, yeah, this one has a tapioca pudding, and you just get some tapioca, some arrowroot, some sea salt, this plus coconut. It makes a really, really good pudding. And then lastly is the pumpkin spice. So if you really like pumpkin's all the rage right now.
Oh yeah, pumpkin everything.
Yeah.
There's even pumpkin Oreos out these days.
Yeah, it is huge this time of year, and not all pumpkin products are healthy. So this is just coconut milk with a little bit of cane syrup, guar gum, sea salt, natural flavors, spices, xanthan gum, pumpkin powder, and annatto. So it's pretty simple. All of these things, of course, I like to have in moderation because of the presence of something like cane syrup. They're very sugary, but during the holidays it's nice, and it's definitely nice because the alternatives out there are a lot less healthy for you. Then they have some super new products, the candy corn little ice cream pop, which I thought sounded like the coolest idea. I have to say it doesn't taste like candy corn.
No, it's not.
It just looks like candy corn.
It looks like a giant candy corn on a stick.
It
tastes good, but it doesn't taste like.
No. It's basically vanilla ice cream on 2/3 of it. And I'm sorry, I keep covering up your face. I'll hold it in front of mine. And the very top is chocolate coated. I wish the whole thing was like that.
Yeah.
And then the middle is just the vanilla ice cream, and then there's an orange flavor at the bottom, which is good. I just thought it was going to taste like candy corn, I guess. We haven't tried this one, so I thought we would do a live taste test.
Whoa.
Of the pumpkin spice pop. Let's take a look at this one. I'm not the biggest pumpkin fan, are you?
Actually, I don't know if either of us are going to enjoy it.
But you'll get our honest opinion. It's really cute. And if you like pumpkin...
Is there face on there?
No, I don't think so. I think that's just a
that would have made it so much better.
I know, there should be.
Smells good.
It's got a really good texture. It's actually really good. It's very subtle. It's very subtle. It's not like overly pumpkin-y, which I like. It's actually kind of like cream with a hint.
It's super creamy and not too pumpkin-y.
Really good.
Just enough. Even us non-pumpkin loving people are enjoying this.
It's really creamy.
I want another bite.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so this one, they're all really basic. They actually, all of their products kind of have the same base, which is coconut milk, a little bit of organic cane syrup, guar gum, and kind of like some stabilizers, and this has freeze-dried pumpkin powder in it. Yeah, I mean, no carrageenan. It's really, really tasty. So you can recognize all the ingredients on it. I mean, given if you know what guar gum and the type of like gum stabilizers are, but I really like it. Okay, cool. Then we have the grand finale.
Prepare yourselves, guys.
This is really exciting, and I have to say, probably like one of the most exciting products So Delicious has ever made, which is their Cocoa Whip. Oops. I have to say, when I saw this advertisements for this, I was like, big deal. Who needs Cocoa Whip? Right? I mean, I haven't had Cool Whip in a long time. I'm sure it's great for people that want a Cool Whip alternative. Yeah. But I also know that you can make your own coconut whipped cream just by taking a can of coconut and coconut milk. You turn it over in the fridge and keep it there for 24 to 48 hours, and you can whip it up and make your own. So when I saw this, I thought, hey,
you really need it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't need it, but it's a nice treat. You want to open that one up? Sure. So I'll show you the consistency. I don't know how well it shows up on the webcam, not so well. But it's very, very creamy and thick. Yeah, it doesn't show up well at all. But it's very, very thick.
It's actually empty because we ate all of it.
Yeah. You can't see incredibly well, but if you could, you would see that almost nothing is left. Yeah. This is the regular version. Then they have a low fat. It's 50% less fat. And basically, they just put less fat in it. I think it's the same exact ingredients, which again, same base. Instead of coconut milk, it has coconut oil, cane syrup, tapioca syrup as a thickener, some of the guar gums and things, but no carrageenan in this. And really good. So, as a reminder of how good it is.
This isn't fair to people watching at home.
Yes, it is, because then they're going to want to go get it. And
all right, well, you have to go get it.
Yeah. Now. So this is what it looks like. Let's show them the two. So this is the really, really thick one. And the other one...
This is the low fat?
Yeah, it's half the fat.
Half the fat.
It's 2 grams per serving for the regular, and then 1 gram per serving for the other one. And basically the big difference, they taste almost exactly the same, except the blue, the regular, is really thick and creamy.
Yeah, it's just the difference in texture.
Yeah.
The flavor is almost pretty much the same.
It's so good. I mean, let me tell you, I had low expectations because I thought, okay, fine, it's just going to be coconut cream. What did you think when you first tried it?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I never really liked the taste of Cool Whip because it's so artificial tasting. But this is like in a class of its own. it's just like an amazing topping for ice cream or
berries.
Yeah.
Hot chocolate, like it's really good.
Oh,
You could
yeah.
heat up something like this and then put the cream on top.
Mm-hmm.
I am really impressed. So thank you to So Delicious for sending this, and I recommend to any of you out there. These will be in Whole Foods, I believe, until all these products are available in Whole Foods, and I think they have an exclusive with Whole Foods on the Cocoa Whip until the spring. Then they'll be more widely available. So maybe I can arrange some sort of giveaway or something for you guys, because I love being able to share it around. All right, let's jump into the questions, and then we'll answer your live questions. What do we have here? Okay. So, number one, this person wanted to remain anonymous. They asked if I was vegan for ethical reasons. First of all, for me personally, well, we can both answer this. You're not vegan, but you can speak from the vegetarian perspective. I mean, that's definitely a huge part of why I'm vegan, but I was drawn to veganism from a health and environmental standpoint, and the ethical side was just like what has kept me in it all along for part of the reason. I think all three, honestly, all three are pretty much equal for me. The ethical side of understanding what happens to animals when they're used for animal products that we eat and use and wear and all that parts of our lifestyle is very important. So this person wanted to know, how do we deal with people who say they don't care about animals being tortured because they like animal products like meat and silk and leather? So maybe you can answer this. While you do, I'm going to put this stuff in the fridge. Come on,
Don't leave me here alone.
You're fine. Just start answering the questions. I'll be right back.
Well, I've definitely faced this question, and I think most people have. You meet someone and they ask, why are you vegetarian? Why are you vegan? And it always feels like a really touchy subject because people become really defensive if you say, well, for whatever reason, whether it's for health or for animals. And I just try to stick to my guns. I mean, I'm an animal lover, always have been, and so is my sister. And I feel like that's majority of people out there. That's sometimes the reason why they start. I think it's really, really a difficult question to answer. I don't know what else to say.
What do you do? Like if somebody...
I'm just not an argumentative type of person. If someone tries to start talking to me about it, I basically just say that's what I believe in and end it at that. I don't like to get into it. I'm not really one to sit there and argue because my beliefs are my beliefs and your beliefs are yours. So I don't find it to really be a good use of time to try and argue your point. But that's me. I'm not really one to just to debate over it. I know how I feel, and I feel good about doing what I do.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to waste my time or the energy, especially if you're speaking to someone who's very aggressive about it.
Yeah.
I think it's a waste of energy to try and argue with somebody like that.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I've talked about this a number of times on this channel, and I think that it's kind of something that comes out of experience and just understanding like what's in it for you. Why do you have to prove what you believe in to somebody? If they're just there to argue, they probably just want to argue. They're not going to like listen in on.
Yeah, exactly. And you can sometimes get a sense from someone too, whether it's going to be like a very like open conversation, when they ask you, oh, why are you vegetarian? Why are you vegan? You can sense even just how they present the question, if they want to just discuss it and they're interested and they're intrigued to know why you are, or they're just asking you so that they can, argue with you.
Yeah.
And prove you wrong.
Right. Right.
So usually it just is like case by case. I just don't like arguing, so I tend to avoid it. I tend not to even bring it up if I'm out at dinners. I'll just order my little vegetarian plate and keep to myself.
Yeah. Well, similarly, by the way, I would love anyone to chime in. Be sure that you do this on YouTube. You can ask your questions on Google+, but if you want to chime into the conversation and share your opinion, please do that on Google or YouTube, on the YouTube page for these videos. That way they stay there permanently and everyone can read them. So username Katie Kismet asked a similar question. I think I may have answered this one before, but I'd love to hear what you have to say. She was asking this around something that had happened to her on Easter, and she said that regardless of how many times she tells her family that she's vegan, they always buy her things that aren't vegan friendly. And why are you laughing? Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like Christmas at our house.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't make sure that there's vegan food available at social gatherings. So she's stuck with the choice of eating vegetarian or not consuming anything and being ostracized. Do you think it's okay to eat vegetarian in these situations, or would it be better to stand her ground and just eat before? Or do you think I should avoid these functions altogether and make separate plans?
Yikes.
I know, it's hard.
That is hard. I mean, it's not, doesn't leave a good impression, and people are going to be upset with you if you completely avoid a family gathering because they're not serving what you want to eat. That's not fair for your family, I don't think. I mean, I think if there's a way for you to prepare your own meals and bring it, or you know, just find another way, but to completely avoid the situation simply because people are eating meat, I don't think that that's necessarily fair to the rest of you.
Yeah, I mean,
but as far
you
as
just bring your own food would
Yeah.
be my solution. I mean,
Right.
I had to deal with this especially early on when I first went vegetarian and then later vegan. There was definitely a big learning curve in our family because my family was just omnivorous at the time, and now they've actually changed a lot, their diets. They still eat fish, but no meat, and pretty minimal dairy, I would say. Our family's definitely come a long way, and so
well,
have you.
and we're lucky because we're all very open-minded, and like, you know, Whitney the last 2 days has prepared pure vegan dinners, and we're all happy to eat that. You know, it's not no one is opposing veganism.
I mean, my parents sometimes want to eat fish, and they're like kind of stubborn when it comes to fish. I don't quite know why. But I think that in those situations, I would just say to bring your own food or to eat beforehand, whatever you can do to still be social. Because remember, they're social occasions. They're not just meant to eat. I think a lot of people eat while they're socializing because they can do things at once, and it's fun. But the point of those gatherings is to be together. So if your food can be handled in a different way that doesn't like stir up other people's emotions, I would just do that. And it's going to depend on your situation. If it's okay to bring food, bring food. If not, eat before or after. Maybe bring a little bit of snack. I talked about this in the recent video about going to events like weddings and how I've handled that, so you can check out that video for more information on that topic. All right, so Cindy said she's from Rhode Island, which is near us in Massachusetts, and she has a little brother who's 10 years old. He and she do not live in the same house. He lives with her mother, and she's newly vegan. But her brother nor her mother are vegan, but they love animals, and they kind of get what she's doing. But her mother isn't very open to hearing about veganism, however, her brother is. So her question is, what can we recommend for videos for him to watch about the meat industry that are not too graphic but get the point across? I think I might have touched upon this. I've had a lot of similar questions to this in the Q&As before. Again, I thought you might have some different input because you weren't 10 years old when I went vegan.
But I was probably 12, 13.
Yeah.
Not that much older.
Yeah, that's true.
And
I
remember
pretty young. You were probably like 14, 15.
Yeah, at the oldest.
Yeah. So you were very young and impressionable, and here I was making this big change. So I guess the question is more, how can she educate her brother? So maybe we can reflect back on what it was like when I went and why you stopped eating meat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw everything that you were doing, but you also had a friend who was very passionate about veganism as well. And he sort of was like my big brother at that point. You know, he reached out and was sending me all sorts of interesting pamphlets, and one thing that comes to mind for, what's his name?
I don't know what his name is, but her name's Cindy.
Well, for Cindy's brother, I'm thinking, I don't know if it still exists, but there was PETA Kids.
That's right.
There were packets. They would actually send
PETA 2. I think it's called PETA 2 now.
Yeah, but it's for kids, and it's all cartoons and sort of like fun little taglines, and they would send sticker kits, and they had their own like veg sort of like the Veg News, but for kids magazine, and that was all appropriate for a child. And I mean, I do remember at that same time it might have been that same individual, he gave me a pretty graphic meat industry video, which was hard.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched. I mean, maybe 30 seconds of it. I mean, it was that bad. And for a kid, I think that it can be a little bit much and sort of horrifying, and it is horrifying, but I think it is especially so for a young person. So, but I specifically remember that PETA 2 or PETA Kids, whatever
I think it used to be called PETA Kids. I'm looking at PETA 2 right now.
And but it was a little less harsh and
that's true.
Appropriate for.
The other cool thing is there's so many books coming out. I just heard about 2 new books that are coming out about veganism for kids. Ruby Roth is a friend of mine, and she also writes incredible series. She has, I think, 2 books out, working on a 3rd, and she has some great resources. As far as movies, though, I don't know. Another person I know had a project called Veg Tunes, and that he's trying to get out to the public for a little while now. It was cool, but we definitely need more things like that, because you're right, it is challenging with, oh, wait, they do have PETA Kids. Hold on a second. I want to see this, if it's still active. Okay, so I think there's PETA, PETA 2, and there's PETA Kids. Yeah. Oh, this is so cute. Wow, I didn't even know this still existed anymore. This is great for kids. I know my iPad isn't the best preview of it, but you can take a look and see. It's just very, very friendly and bright and colorful. I had no idea that that existed anymore, and they do have the free stickers, and they have a magazine. They actually have free comic books that you can get for kids, and they have special videos. Well, how fun is that? I think it's even gotten better since you were on there.
Oh, totally.
Wow, they have quizzes and games that you can play. I'm really glad that you brought that up. I forgot about that. See? You're worth it. You're worth it.
Thanks.
Okay. So let's see. A similar question to what we were talking about before. Summer asked, I'm a teenage girl who was vegetarian for about 6 months before I finally decided to go vegan this past February. I still live with my parents who are not vegan or even vegetarian, and I would like to know if you have any tips on how to live a healthy vegan lifestyle in a house full of omnivores. Now that was me. I was vegetarian for about 6 months, and it was like I was in college at the time, but I was living at home when I made that decision. It was in between semesters, so I was here, and I remember a little bit, but do you remember much about what that was like? I wish I
can say I do.
Oh, it's so frustrating. I mean, I just...
The thing is that our parents were always, even though they may have been eating hamburgers at that point, they would still make you a separate meal.
Yeah, I think as long as I explained to them what to buy, or I would buy things myself, they were
just
completely
fortunate
fine.
that our parents are really
open. We are really lucky. You know, even now it's different because my household is mainly vegetarian, aside from some fish and some, there's dairy in here. But when it comes to meals, I really find that I kind of have to just take the lead. My dad is kind of the chef in the house, and he'll ask, like, well, what are we going to have tonight? What are you going to have? And if I make the meals myself, everything will be absolutely vegan. If I don't make the meals myself, my dad will usually use some sort of animal product.
But he'll always make sure your plate has nothing non-vegan.
He's very good at that. And I've also found that it's easier if he can make a dish that's adaptable. So if it's like a rice dish and he really wants his cheese on there, he can still add his cheese on top, but he can leave it out for me. If he wants to have a different type of dressing that's not vegan on the salad, he'll just leave it off of mine. So I think that those tend to be an easier situation, but starting to do the research and taking the lead on things, even if you don't have a car yet, or you don't you're not really financially at a point where, if your parents are able to help you out in that sense, or if you can explain to them how they can easily transition meals, again, if they just serve it to you before they add in the meat or before they add in the cheese, I think that that's usually the easiest thing to do with in that situation. But it's going to depend, because as we said, we're very fortunate to have parents that were really open to it and understanding, even though they might not want to make those decisions themselves. Not everybody is so fortunate to have that, though, and it's it's just going to take some work and understanding how things operate. But if you stick to your guns, you know, you do the best that you can along the way. Okay, so let's see. I love this question. Ashley asked, when going on a long road trip, what are your favorite snacks to take? I'm going to be going on a cross-country road trip and want to make sure I have nutritious and satisfying snacks to help tide me over. Gluten and soy-free are important to me too. Well, Ashley, I was in your exact same situation multiple times over the past few years. One of my trips was with Mary. I did my very first cross-country trip with Mary 2.5 years ago. Yeah. And we drove from San Francisco all the way back to Massachusetts. It took us about 6 or 7 days. Yeah, like 6 days. We took our time. Yeah. I've done other trips that I made it across the country, I think 4 days. But we ate primarily vegan. I mean, I ate entirely vegan and gluten-free and soy-free, almost entirely soy-free. Soy I'm a little lenient on, and sometimes I'll have a little gluten, but I'm very, very sensitive to gluten. So what did we eat on our trip? Do you remember? We have all these videos, by the way. I can link to them down below. There are several. I think we documented for every day of our trip almost. There's a video, and it talks about the meals that we had and some of the snacks. So that would be the best reference point. But I remember we had plenty of water. We would basically find natural markets, especially Whole Foods, everywhere. Yeah. And on all of my cross-country trips, I've been able to find Whole Foods in almost every major city, and sometimes just another natural market. But that has usually kind of been the best because Whole Foods is very familiar. I can go in there and know what I'm going to get most of the time and check out some local things. But we would stop and get kombuchas. We both really teas.
But as far as food,
they were asking about snacks.
Oh, well, yeah.
So snacks to take along. I mean, I think we more enjoyed picking things up each day.
We did. We found like a lot of natural markets and, like you said, Whole Foods. But I also clearly remember before we went on our trip, we went to Rainbow Grocery in San Francisco, loaded up. The back seat had like 2 bags chock full of snacks.
Which didn't last long.
No, not at all.
Do you remember what was in there?
We had dried mango strips, which is one of our favorites.
Yes.
We had those amazing seaweed Slim Jim like
Gopals,
which were so good.
Yes.
Sort of overdid it on them.
Yeah, we ate too much of those. They're actually these raw, organic, gluten-free vegan, and they're like $2. And they kind of taste. Delicious. They kind of taste like a Slim Jim. It's weird. They have different flavors.
Hey, how do you know what those taste like?
Well, I haven't always been vegan. I don't know if I've even actually had a Slim Jim. They're what I imagine Slim Jims would taste like.
Same here. Those primal strips. We had primal strips. Probably some more. Probably like some nuts.
Lots of fruit.
That, like dried fruit and nuts. And then we pick up like sandwiches from Whole Foods and local natural markets.
I remember.
We did really well. We ate really well.
Yeah, and we would find restaurants all along the way. And I've done almost most of the major routes across the country. For our trip, we went the northern route, and then I did another trip where I went southern. And I've never had a problem eating really great gluten-free, soy-free, vegan meals everywhere. There's a couple places that are more challenging, but there's so many major cities. We went to Chicago.
We went to the Omaha Whole Foods, I remember.
Yep.
I remember driving through that part of the country and thinking, oh, we aren't going to find anything out here.
But then we got
found
sandwiches.
The most amazing Whole Foods, massive Whole Foods out there.
Yeah, I've actually been there twice. On my other road trip, I went there too. And just natural markets like Whole Foods were the best. And I think we might have had a little cooler or something. It helps to have that. Yeah, we did. You can store all of your foods, and we'd get like wraps.
And we'd have like Mary's Gone crackers, and we'd dip them in
that cheese.
Whatever that cheese.
We can't say it's cheese.
Yeah, we can't say it's cheese dip. Oh,
so good.
So good.
Yes. And just like dips, crackers.
Yeah, it's easy.
Dried
we didn't have any problems.
Seeds, various fruits that like grapes and apples and maybe a banana, oranges, like whatever, and just being able to stop at a different market throughout. I mean, it can definitely get a little bit pricey if you're not careful, but you can certainly have really great dishes.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers that question there. And please check out the videos that we did so you can see our little narrative. It was really fun. Okay. We have one more question, then we're going to move on to live questions. So get those ready. You can start asking your questions right now. You just have to go to google.com/+ecovegangal and click on the event, then open it up and go to the Q&A app. If you ask it on the event page or if you ask it on YouTube, right now I will not be able to see it. I will see it afterwards, but that won't be very helpful. So ask over there. And this last question I thought was great for you because you're a professional horse rider, and Evelyn asked what my opinion was on horse riding. Is it vegan or not? And are bitless bridles more ethical? So this is a tricky question. I haven't really thought about this for years because we grew up with horses. Our mom is incredibly passionate about horses, and we have horses in our backyard. So we both grew up riding. That's what we knew. I guess in a way, having the horses plus other animals on our farm is a huge reason for our passion for animals and our understanding and respect for them. I guess I just didn't really think of it from that ethical standpoint until fairly recently. I don't know. I've always felt like the horses were treated really well, but that, you know, it's like anything else. It really depends
on the situation.
On the situation, on the barn, on the horse
owner. Every situation is so different.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that they're animals that love to work naturally. They love their jobs. They want to have a job.
How do you know that?
By the way that they act and the way that they perform, and you know, we're not talking circus here. You know, the horses are you know, come out and they work for 45 minutes of the day. The rest of the day they're out on lush grass eating, and are treated like kings. At least at our farm. I can't say that's true for every stable and every situation, but you know, they're very happy in their work. You can see it in their eyes and their ears and the way that they want to work for their riders, and some more than others. And they're just like humans too, you know, maybe not all horses want to work, but there's some that you can just truly feel they want to do you proud and they want to really try hard.
And you know, and what's interesting too, I've noticed with both of them, is that you guys have like a schedule with the horses, and if you miss a day, it's like, what happens when you don't ride them for a day or a few days or something?
Oh, you notice they're tense. They're just not happy. You know, they like to use their bodies, and they feel so much better on the day-to-day when they're on a regular working schedule, and it's no different. You know, whether it's the riding or the feeding, they're all about schedule. They know the time of day.
Very smart.
Yeah. And you know, you can definitely sense if they're not happy. They'll let you know. But you know, getting as far as the question, as far as the bits are concerned, that go in the horses' mouths, it's all in how you use them. There are a variety of different bits that go from soft to severe, and you know, they're used for different disciplines, different reasons, different horses. But basically, my answer to that question would be, no matter what, it's all in how the rider is using the bit on the horse. You can have very soft hands, you can have very aggressive hands, and that all translates to how the bit is working in the horse's mouth.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people, when they're new to riding, they pull a lot.
Yeah, as human beings, we're very handsy, so you see most of the time people can just by nature seem to go to their hands. So something like that may not be very fair to the horse, and that's what we're constantly teaching, you know, in all disciplines, is soft hands and having a nice connection to the horse, and not necessarily using your hands to work with the horse, using the rest of your body to communicate with the horse.
Yeah. Well, same thing with like a whip, right? I mean, that's another thing you'll see a lot of people thinking they need to like whip a horse to control them. But, you know, I don't ride anymore, but when I was growing up, I could actually ride horses, and I'm sure you can too, just like with nothing on them.
Oh,
just holding onto their mane, no saddle, like nothing.
They're very sensitive animals, and what we try to do, again, in every discipline, whether you're jumping over fences or you're doing the discipline that I do, dressage, it's all about minimizing your aids, minimizing what you need to do in order to influence the horse to go over a fence or to move sideways, whatever it is you're asking of the horse. You're always trying to make it so that you're almost working as one, not against one another, not using your hands, not using other equipment to make things happen. It's all about actually getting quieter and quieter to the point where the horse can notice just the slightest shift in your weight, and that will be enough for them to understand, oh, I need to turn left now, or I need to turn right, or go more forward, or slow down, all of these things. And I think that's actually where the sport is really beautiful. And again, you can't say this for all riders and all situations. It's really the best of the best. You'll see that there's this connection, and you see the horses enjoying it because they want to go forward, their ears are forward, and they're just really enjoying their work. And usually
versus if they're like bucking, trying to run away, like looking fearful. And I think that has so much to do with the rider and the training and all of that, and how they're taken care of, and you know what they're being fed, and what barns are like. And there's so many different aspects. It's just like having any other animal around you, like a dog. You know, the way that a companion animal dog is going to be with you is so different from person to person, and there are definitely a lot of cases where people are very cruel to their dogs.
Right, and there's so many cases too where the animals just learn from experience. So if you bring up an animal, whether it's dog or it's a horse, and from the very beginning you have a very kind, understanding relationship, it tends to go the right direction and everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's cool. It's, you know, it definitely brings back so many memories because horses are just so sensitive. And they are incredibly intelligent. So yeah, that experience of connecting. When I was growing up, I had a pony, and she definitely had some history of being harmed before we got her, because she was very what they call head shy. So you would try to pet her face, and she would always kind of flinch. Right? We don't know what happened before we had her, but you know, she never got unused. You know, she never got used to people really petting her. She got better, but she always had that fear. It's so sad. On the other note, though, she was such an incredible pony. I could just get on her, and while she was hanging out in the field, and she would just let me lie on her. Sometimes I'd lie on her back. Sometimes I would just like hang out. I loved just hanging out with her, and I remember very distinctly like that connection of her. They are very different. It's almost like an Avatar, right?
Yeah.
In Avatar, the movie, where they
connect.
Where
you actually connect.
They connect their like hair or whatever it is to the horses. And it's true that like that connection that you have with the animal.
What we're all working towards.
Yeah. And you can just it's like sometimes you just think something and the horse can react it because your body is giving a subtle signal and energy or something to it. And I love that philosophy. So I think the question is not, is riding vegan or ethical? It's, are you being ethical when you're riding a horse and
or handling
a horse, taking care of a horse, just like any other animal. And I actually recently heard some really sad things about wild horses and how there's a huge issue with them in the United States. I don't know nearly enough, but it was around the movie Cowspiracy, which I've yet to see, but during an interview, the filmmakers behind this incredible movie, Cowspiracy, were talking about wild horses and how a lot of them are like put in specific shelters and not in a good way, like they're kind of being controlled, and a lot of it's related to like the cattle industry, and there's just a lot of really scary things happening with wild horses. And it's kind of like people envision horses running wild, but your horses are probably treated better than a lot of wild horses if they're being controlled by, you know, these horrible people that are manipulating them and taking their food away or feeding them poor things. It's just like, I need to learn more about that. But just to kind of plant a seed there for anyone interested in horses, I would start to look into this and just what's going on with horses in general. It's really fascinating. Okay, well, those are our prepared questions. Now we would love to hear from you. I'm going to click over and see if we have any questions. And in the meantime, I want to encourage everyone to respond to anything today. If you have different opinions, I'm sure you do. Be sure to ask your questions live on Google+, but any sort of comments, anything that you want other people to weigh in on, that's best on YouTube. So go to the video page on YouTube. You might have to wait a few minutes after the recording is done. That is generally the best place. Okay. So Jane Strange asked, is So Delicious in the UK too? I don't know if So Delicious is in Europe or London or England. So I would, or any part of the UK, I would want to hear from other people if it is. You can probably check their website and see if you go to, I think it's sodelicious.com, or maybe Turtle, their main company is called Turtle Mountain. You can check that out. It would be wonderful if they are. You might be able to order some of their products online, but it's probably not the most cost-effective or eco-friendly option there.
But the Cool Whip is worth it.
Yeah, the Cool Whip. You can make it yourself, but I've made Cool Whip before, the Cocoa Whip before, and it hasn't tasted or looked like that. Okay. Chloe asked, what are some of your favorite easy vegan dinner ideas, and what are your biggest challenges you face as a vegan? What are your favorite vegan dishes that you do you ever make vegan dishes when I'm not around?
I make vegan snacks when you're not around.
Okay, like what?
And the number one being kale chips.
Yes.
I sometimes have sudden cravings for kale chips, and I make mine very simply, with a bit of olive oil, salt, and usually some nutritional yeast.
In the oven you make it?
Yep.
I bake it. Those are good. You got that from my dad, right? Or did you teach my dad, or our dad, or did he teach you? You don't remember?
I can't remember which order it went, but that's one of my personal favorites.
But that's not a dinner idea.
I know, it's a snack.
You never make vegan dinners?
I know what I make.
Okay,
how about the Daya?
Yeah.
Daya quesadillas.
Yes.
Those are great.
Those are so good.
Because you can throw in some veggies, and they're so easy to make.
Yes.
I
grilled cheese.
Yeah, the grilled cheese. Whitney recently made some that were unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I have to say I don't get very creative in the vegan dinner department.
Well, what do you make in general? Like, if you can probably veganize anything that you make. What do you eat for dinner?
I go out for dinner.
You go out to eat. What about pasta? Like, pasta is always my go-to.
Pasta's, yeah.
It is like, if I am looking for the easiest dinner, I have pasta. And right now I have 3 different types of gluten-free pasta. I have penne, and I have some noodles, and they're all under $5 each, and they make multiple servings, so you can make a big batch, but they cook so fast that you can just make pasta in under 10 minutes, and it's just boiling the pasta and then putting some sauce on it. Sometimes it'll be as simple as nutritional yeast and salt and maybe a little bit of oil, but a lot of times I like to do oil-free, and I'll have like a tomato sauce. Sometimes I'll just chop up tomatoes, or I'll make my own tomato sauce.
Son of another one.
Yeah, go.
Maybe more of a lunch than a dinner, but the garbanzo bean tuna fish sandwich.
Yes. That is like one of
my
favorite dishes ever.
Unbelievable.
And I'm really upset we don't have any veganays right now. We're going to have to get some. So that dish, I have a recipe for up on the Eco Vegan Gal channel. It's just garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whatever you want to call, and you just blend them up, or you can actually just smash them up with a fork or a masher or something with a little bit of vegan mayo. There's a ton of brands now. There's Veganays, there's I think Follow Your Heart is Veganays. Earth Balance now has one. Just Mayo just came out. There's at least one other brand. You could also just use a little bit of oil and then put in whatever else you would put in tuna. So some relish and some
pickles.
Pickles or relish, some celery. The recipe is up there. You can make it as complex or simple as you'd like, and you can also do this with tempeh, but it's usually faster with cooked garbanzo
Thought of
beans.
one more.
See?
Now that we're talking,
they're
all
coming up.
back.
Okay, let's hear them.
The maple tempeh.
I don't know what you're talking about. You said that last night, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so you buy tempeh, right?
And tempeh is fermented soybeans, and you can get it at Trader Joe's or almost any natural market for around $2.
And then I can't remember all of the ingredients, but I know there's garlic, maple syrup, mirin, and soy sauce. That might actually be all of them. You mix them together. It's a marinade, and you marinate the tempeh in it for about an hour, and then you cook it over the stove, and you get these amazingly tender, like mapley tempeh goodness, and it's so good. It's one of my favorites.
On a sandwich,
and that's
or
full of protein, isn't it?
Rice. Yep.
Yeah, and it's so good, and it doesn't take very much to make.
Well, yeah, because you marinate it for a while, but the actual like preparation is really fast.
Super easy.
Yeah, and you could do that overnight or something. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's so easy, and I share on Instagram a lot of meals that I have, as well as sometimes I do recipe videos on here, or put up recipe posts on ecovegangal.com, but I just, any sort of like base. So whether it's bread, a gluten-free bread, you could do a wrap, whatever else type of bread you want to do, or a grain, so rice, quinoa, or a pasta, or just vegetables. I usually like to have some sort of gluten-free grain, personally. You could, if you're not gluten-free, of course, having a high-quality wheat-based product works as well, and then you add on whatever you want to do, whether it's tempeh, vegetables, various sauces, and just play around, and you will not get bored. That's how I eat on a regular basis. And as far as challenges as a vegan,
dining?
I don't know. I don't find it challenging, but I've also been doing this for so long, and I think about it so much. I think, it usually is a social situation, as we've addressed earlier in this video.
Well, I've heard you before when we've gone to various events, that aren't vegan, and when her first thing will be like, "There's nothing for me to eat here." I've heard your frustration when you said that, when we've gone places and there's nothing for me to eat here.
It's challenging for me because I also eat very specifically. I'm very passionate about organic, yes, and I'm also gluten-free and soy-free. I don't know if I get a little frustrated. I don't know, when's the last time I said that?
Oh, I don't know, but I've definitely heard it
I'm
over
sure
the years.
In the past.
We've gone places, whether it's a potluck or you're at a buffet situation where you can't really ask, there's no chef for you to ask, hey, can you prepare this for me? Or you're at a wedding.
Yeah. And that's where preparation.
You don't know what's in it necessarily. It might look vegan, but you don't know if there's butter.
That's why I just have learned to prepare. I just have to eat ahead of time or afterwards, or bring a snack with me, and preparation has been one of the most important lessons I've learned to avoid those type of frustrations. Oh, look who it is! Mary just gave me a little pat. So Kelly O'Brien, we adore, and we met her years ago on our road trip, and she asked, are you vegan yet or still pescatarian? Do you consider yourself vegetarian, but you still eat fish?
Well, because
how much fish?
Most of the time when I say I'm pescatarian, people will say, "You're Presbyterian?" No, I don't even go there. This kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is a lot of the times, especially I feel in sort of the people that I'm with majority of the time are not so understanding, socially. Sometimes people just don't understand, so I typically, like I said, consider myself vegetarian, and I'll just kind of keep to myself and eat whatever it is I want. But no, majority of the time I don't eat a whole lot of fish. Sometimes in New England it's tempting, because this is seafood central, and so sometimes I do, but I've probably backed off of it.
I feel like fish for you is more just like you don't know what else to eat sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like when you go out to eat.
Yeah.
I find that you usually will eat fish because you're used to it being satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, why else would you eat it?
Well, I think it tastes good.
But a lot of other things taste good.
I know they do.
I mean, luckily we have so many different vegan seafood alternatives coming up. We actually have some in the fridge. There's a company called Sophie's. I think you've had it before. They make vegan crab cakes and shrimp, and they're definitely not exactly the same, but they look similar and they taste similar, and they can, you can kind of wean yourself off.
But sometimes with those sorts of things, I'd rather just not even eat it at all.
Yeah.
I'd just rather just eat vegetables if that's the case, rather than the imitation. There's some imitations that are really worth eating, but then others, it's like, well, calamari isn't going to taste like calamari.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to not even try it.
What do you think what would have to happen for you to stop eating fish entirely? Like for you with dairy, you stopped eating dairy because it upsets your stomach so much. Mm-hmm. And you know that there's great almond milk and cheeses and ice cream. So it's really easy to be dairy free.
Yeah, I guess it's not that I feel like the need to eat fish. It's more so that I don't know. It's just different for me in the way that I see it, and it might be naive, and it might be like sort of ignorance is bliss sort of situation. I really am against meat, but with fish it's a little bit harder for me to
Maybe you have to watch more of those PETA videos.
I have to.
I think
I do recognize.
I'm
not. I recognize that a lot of people won't agree with that, but.
Well, it's not about people agreeing. It's just that you might just not know. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that the fishing industry is just as bad as the meat industry. I mean, it's really horrific to watch, to find out. And also there's a lot of major health concerns with fish. And I think the sad thing is it just doesn't get as much media attention, and so
I think
don't
that's part of
it.
And again, it sounds naive me saying yes, I agree with you, but then still on occasion eating fish. But
I think that's more like a habit. Like I think I've noticed when I have eaten out with you and you've chosen to eat fish, it's like
because it's there,
and you remember what it tastes like, and it's like I know that's going to fill me up and satisfy me, and you just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's true with a lot of people. Okay, so Kelly, we're gonna, I'll come back to your questions in a moment. Okay, let's see if anyone else asked. Okay, so Jane asked another question, or let's go to someone else first. I want to make sure I get to as many as possible. So Julie asked, have you ever heard of anyone having a reaction to maca? I had a bag of raw Peruvian maca I was using a few days ago, and I had itching and was covered head and toe in hives.
Yikes.
So do you know what maca is?
Not really.
So maca is a type of root. It's a powder, and typically in powder form. And
does this have anything to do with the matcha tea? No.
Not matcha. Matcha is a tea.
But they're not related in any way. Okay.
Maca is a supplement, typically used as a supplement.
Okay.
And it's a great flavor enhancer because it has this amazing, like almost like butterscotchy type of rich flavor, and you can add it to smoothies and raw desserts and things like that is where it's often used. And some people use it for hormonal balance. Julia, I've never heard anyone having a major reaction to it. The best person to ask this would be Jason Robel. He knows so much about superfoods and is connected to kind of the superfood and supplement people that could probably point you in the right direction. But it's also not unheard of. I mean, people have reactions. We're all so unique. So some of us are just not going to react to certain foods correctly. It could be a sourcing issue. It could be so many different things. So unfortunately, I don't have the answer, but I would direct you to Jason Robel to start to find out. What? Oh. Okay, let's see what else. Lots of questions here. Okay. Okay, so Daryl asked, can you tell me how you feel about seedless watermelon and grapes? Even if grown organically, they are not natural. However, I highly prefer them and I never buy seeded. Do you? So Jason Robel is also a great resource because I know he's the same way. He actually, I'm sorry, he's the opposite. He does not like seeded watermelons, and I apologize. It's been a while since I did the research on that. I've personally, I feel like they're kind of, I think, hybridized or genetically modified in a way to create seedless versions because, obviously eating a watermelon with lots of seeds is kind of unpleasant. But, I don't mind if it's organic, and I know that it hasn't been kind of played around with. But, now you're starting to see a lot of seedless organic watermelons more and more. I don't feel very strongly against it, but I haven't done the research. I wish Jason might be able to chime in if he's still watching today. I know he was here at some point, but I don't know. I can't answer that from a very educated perspective right now. I'm sorry, Daryl. I guess my feeling is go as natural and pure as possible with everything, including watermelons. And if you really love seedless watermelons and they're organic, I don't think it's a huge deal. But that's not coming from the most educated perspective at the moment. So I'll look into that more. Okay, who else do we have here? So let's see. Come back to Chicago, says Kelly. We would love to. I haven't been back to Chicago in a while. And so Kelly says that she still struggles with getting enough protein and iron. She knows her options, but her doctor tells her that she needs much more. What do you both do when you want to step up the protein, and do you ever step up and if you do step up the protein, does it energize you? Well, coming back to Jason, suddenly Jason's the answer to everything. We actually did a whole Q&A about this, I think like a month and a half ago, and he really dug into the bio-individuality aspect because he had recently been tested and found all these interesting results from his blood tests. So it's really going to be a case-by-case basis, Kelly. Unfortunately, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer. There's protein in pretty much every plant-based food. I think actually there is protein in everything, but just the amounts differ. So some foods are much higher than protein than others. But the way that we assimilate the protein is going to be different. So there's a chance that for you, protein and iron are just, you're not assimilating them properly. And that's where these tests are so important, and really consulting a doctor and understanding what's going on with you and how you can best take it in. You might need something else to complement it. Maybe you're lacking something else, and that's kind of triggering your body's reaction, and you're not taking in the protein, or it could, it could be a variety of different things that only your doctor could really tell you. But in terms of how we get protein, I just don't seem to have a problem with it. I just eat a variety of plant-based foods. I have lots of greens. I have lots of, grains and nuts, and sometimes legumes and seeds, and so many things. I seem to have plenty of energy. If I don't have energy, it's usually because I didn't sleep enough. So that's almost always the solution for me, is to take a nap or to get more sleep and catch up. If I need like an instant bolt of energy, I'll usually have some sort of herbal drink or something, or a caffeinated tea. But what's your experience with protein?
Well, as an athlete, it can be really difficult, because working all day long and exerting a lot of energy and working hard, people are always on my case about protein, and if people don't see me eating, they automatically think, oh, Mary's not eating, number one, or number two, Mary's not getting enough protein. And sometimes I admit I don't make enough time in the day to probably be taking in as much as I should be, given how much I do in a day, athletically speaking. People say that there's protein in cheese. Is that correct to say?
Oh, sure. I mean, there is protein in almost every animal product.
Yeah. So I know, people would sometimes say, oh, go eat a block of cheese, if you need protein. If you're a vegetarian and you don't want to eat meat, well, then go and eat cheese. But in my case, I tend to be really sensitive to dairy, and I'm really just more figuring that out more recently. So I can't necessarily do that. I would go to peanut butter and things like that I know that are just like easily accessible.
Or protein powders you've done before?
Yeah, I have, like the Vega proteins and all sorts of things like that. But similarly to you, I never necessarily feel like I'm low in the protein department. I always feel pretty balanced.
Iron, though, you were just talking about
iron
last night.
It's interesting. I do notice, certain cravings for iron-rich foods. Like when I have these cravings for kale, I swear it's because my body's telling me, Mary, you need iron and you need it now. And I really follow what my cravings are, and typically they steer me in the right direction. Usually I'm not tempted to crave donuts or anything like that, so that's good. I usually am craving the right things. So I definitely with iron, I notice that in myself. And I know a number of years ago I was tested and I was anemic. And I started taking iron supplements at that point. Since then I haven't really noticed any issues, but I do notice probably when my levels get a little bit low that I crave certain foods that have a lot of iron in them.
Makes sense. And I feel like, knowing you, that you are in this rush mode a lot. It really isn't till dinner that you probably have a really substantial meal. Even lunches, you're kind of at the grab and go stage. And I feel like my advice for everyone, just making sure that you're eating balanced foods, is preparing. And that's a huge reason why I'm working on this ebook, Healthy, Organic, Vegan on a Budget. A huge part of saving money, but also eating healthy, is preparing. So if you had thought ahead of time, actually, I don't know if you knew that our dad did this, but I noticed my dad does this really cute thing. Did you know that he did this? He puts out his oats,
yes,
and his raisins, and his pot, and he literally lines up all of the non-perishable stuff on the counter so that when he wakes up
the night before.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then that way in the morning when he comes on, he can literally put his oatmeal on the stove all ready to go.
Yeah, it's like, I thought that was so cute. I don't know if he does that with other things.
Not really.
But maybe if you started doing something like that where you had a routine. I mean, a huge thing for me, I'm always going to like grain dishes. Like if you made brown rice to last you at least a few days and kept it in the fridge, and you could actually make some vegetables, and all you have to do for lunchtime is just combine them together and maybe have a few sauces around. You can actually also freeze things that you could thaw out, put on the stove. There are so many ways. I think that I would recommend that for you and anyone else watching is really just being prepared so that at lunchtime you're not just grabbing the easiest snack or the processed food or something. So, and not really eating something well until dinner. And then for your case, you're going out to eat a lot. So you're spending a ton of money and you're probably eating a lot of salt and sugar and oil and processed stuff. And your body is not going to get all the nutrients it needs. So I would recommend it to everyone else, is just boosting the amount of vegetables and grains and legumes and nuts and seeds and all that.
The common denominator that you keep saying is prepare.
Yeah.
Prepare those meals.
And it only takes, once or twice a week to do this, which I talk a lot about. And I think that just making sure that you're getting everything, that you're eating balanced meals, and perhaps taking a supplement. Mary asked about taking a supplement last night, and I want to look into this a little bit more. I don't usually recommend supplements, but if you aren't getting everything that you need from your food, then of course you're going to need a supplement of some sort. The main thing, as we talk about so much on this channel, is getting a B12 supplement. So, you're still eating some animal products, so you're probably getting your B12 there, but were you to lean more towards vegan, B12 would be the number one thing. And luckily she lives in Florida most of the year and she gets tons of sunshine, so I doubt vitamin D is an issue for you. But other than that, coming back around though to Kelly, I would just highly emphasize going to the doctor, getting tested, and figure out what you need to do for your body based on your blood work and other tests, and how you're best going to get all your nutrients, and then figuring out a way to make it work in your lifestyle. Okay, so Jane had another question. She said, we were talking about not having confrontation with people if they're super argumentative, which makes a lot of sense, but how would you shut a conversation down if you're in a situation where the person is persistent? Have you been in that?
Yes, I have been in that situation, and it's a tough one. I think sometimes if we're talking about the same type of person, if you were to simply walk away and say you're at a social gathering where you can't avoid them, or you're going to run into them again later in the evening, they're going to try and bring it up again. And I think if it gets to a point where it makes you uncomfortable and you're finding, okay, this is a waste of my time, and I'm not going to convince you of anything, and there's no real point to this argument, then I think you can simply state, look, I'm not comfortable talking about it.
Yeah. And in most cases, have you ever had
I think people would back down at that point.
You've never had a situation where someone is
like, chased down?
I'm going to force you to talk to you.
No.
Yeah. I find that online, definitely people can get aggressive online, but in person...
I think in person, if it's making you uncomfortable and you really just don't feel like talking about it, then you can simply just say, hey, this is what I believe in. I don't feel like talking about it.
Yeah. Well, another thing is if they're really persistent, sometimes you just have to listen to them.
Right. Sometimes they just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And they don't even need to hear what you have to say. So you can just listen and look the other way.
Yeah. Or just stare blankly at them.
Yeah.
Just let your eyes glaze over.
Or nod.
Or be nice and just, you can tune out mentally if that's what it takes for you. Or you can choose to listen to them and take it in, but you don't have to agree with them, of course. If they're, and of course you can always pretend to agree if that's what they're really after. I mean, it's going to depend on each person, but at the end of the day, like, if you're confident about your choices, it doesn't matter what anyone else says or believes or how they want to fight with you. You have to deal with people as they come, and unfortunately it's not always easy, but neither of us have really ever had a a super bad experience in person.
No.
So that's the good news. Okay. So next we have another question from Jane, and it's the order of these questions is a little wonky, but so Jane has a nut allergy, and aside from avocado and coconut oil, is there anything that I should be including in my diet for fats? Well, let's see. I mean, there's of course any type of oil is 100% fat. A lot of health advocates will opt for a oil-free diet because you're getting less of your fats. I mean, avocado is probably one of the #1 recommendations. I'm not a nutritionist on this end, so I'm not incredibly qualified to answer this question, but you know, so many things just naturally have fat. Even seeds have fat in them, and I don't know what else. It's funny, like I actually try not to, I have to kind of avoid eating fatty foods because I'm so drawn to them because they're so delicious, right? So thinking about how to add them in, I would say, yeah, I mean, avocados. And
we have no problem finding fat in our diet.
Exactly. Coconut is in general is a really phenomenal product in so many vegan dishes and products on the market and all that, and it tends to be quite high in fat. So I would say coconut and avocado are definitely great choices, and there's so many different ways you can work with them. So those two alone, you should be fine. But from a nutritional perspective, I just couldn't give you a well-rounded answer. But next time I have a nutritionist on, I think we should definitely address that. It'd be great because some people need to add in fats. I'm the opposite. I'm always trying to cut back on fats. Fats are definitely beneficial. It's more to me like the processed fats that I have to avoid. I try not to go overboard with avocado, but I generally am not too strict about that. And high quality pure coconut is really wonderful too. I think that's for me always the key. It's like the processed or refined fats I'm really just trying to limit or not have at all, and then the natural fats I try not to go too crazy with them, but balance it out. A couple Q&As you might want to reference for fat conversations or anything where I've talked about 80-10-10. I had on Jenna Hamshaw, who has a medical background, as well as Juliana Hever, and I feel like there was a third person. There's fat in 80-10-10, which is a diet that's based on a ratio of 80% carbs, 10% fat, 10% protein, I think. And those conversations generally talk about fat. And Jenna, I believe, she had a very specific number that she recommended. You know who else? It was Jenny Ross, the raw vegan chef. We talked about that too, because fat is a big conversation within the raw vegan diet. So if you're curious more, I would look into them because they have more of an educated perspective than I do. Okay, who else do we have here? We're going to wrap things up soon, but let's see if we have any other questions to go through. Do either of you ever crave meat? Would you ever eat meat medicinally if you craved it enough or supplement with a plant-based source? So I don't ever crave meat, fortunately. I don't think that I would ever eat it medicinally, but I don't know. I mean, I hope that day will never come, but I do know some people that have felt like they needed to add it back in. I don't believe that will be necessary if I continue balancing my nutrients and eating a well-rounded vegan diet, but I can't predict the future. So if it were to come down to that, I would do anything I could to avoid eating it because I feel very strongly against eating meat. Do you ever crave meat?
It's funny. The only time I ever, it's not even so much of a craving. It's like I live with my boyfriend and he eats quite a bit of meat, and I'm never so drawn to like red meat, that I'm never so interested in that, but like the smell of chicken can sometimes bring back memories, and there's something about that aroma. Even though I don't necessarily, the thought of eating it is not all that enjoyable to me, but the smell of it sometimes can get me and be like, oh, that smells really great. But then the thought of eating it is not,
So you only crave it if you smell it and it triggers like a memory.
Yeah,
of a meal.
It's more just the smell, but then it's like if it's there sitting in front of me, I'm not like drawn to eat it. It's more the smell that I'm like, ooh, that smells good. Like. But it's not, so I guess I don't really want to eat it. It's more the smell that I enjoy. But no, never really a craving. The only thing that again I would say is that if someone's eating it around me, again, you're much more dedicated than I am. You know, you have much stronger beliefs than I do, I think, in this department. And if someone's eating a steak nearby me, I won't say that, like, I won't look at it and say, oh, that looks sort of good.
Yeah.
But I don't try it.
I think it's tricky when it comes to those situations because meat often smells good or looks good because it's got all these sauces and seasonings and it's like prepared in a certain way. But like we're so fortunate now to have so many meat alternatives that you could get
just as great.
Yeah, like Gardein, for example. Gardein makes really good chicken alternatives.
Yeah, it does.
And you can take one of those pieces of chicken that they make and put the exact same seasonings and put it on the same preparation, all in all, and it would be awesome.
Right.
So I guess in those situations, it's just kind of remembering that only smells and looks good because of the way it was prepared, not because, like, you want that steak. Like, if the steak were plain and, like, bloody, you'd probably be sick. Just Same with chicken. Like, unprepared chicken looks pretty gross.
Yeah.
Like, when you see people that, like, just
when you buy it,
it looks gross. So I think that, it depends on the situation. But I think Kelly's question is more, do you just crave it, like, you feel like you need to eat it? No. And you've been vegetarian for what? Or pescatarian for 12 years? 12? No, because it's 11 for me and you came after me. So I think you're around 10. But still, that's a long time.
Give or take.
Yeah, give or take. She's just been saying 12 for like a few years.
I'm telling everybody when they ask me that same question, oh yeah, that's 12 years.
It doesn't really matter, but
leave it to my sister to correct me on live TV.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking back because I went vegetarian in 2003.
Okay.
So I'm guessing you went in 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, let's see if there are any more questions, corrected. And then we'll wrap things up.
What are we eating for dinner?
Yeah, dinner actually I'm really excited about.
I'm starving right now.
Yes, I'm really hungry too. Well, you picked out some field roast sausages.
Oh yeah.
Which I won't be having because they definitely have gluten in them, but I think they might have some soy. I might have a bite, a little taste.
Not of mine. It's all mine.
Field roast is really good. I wish that I could eat it on a regular basis. And then while they're eating that, I actually have some gluten-free, soy-free burgers, and they're made with various grains and some beans, I think, and they're from a company called Sunshine. Another brand I really love is Hillary's. There are a variety of really good burgers. There's another brand called Crunch with a Q. They make quinoa burgers, and we have so many options now. So, and I believe there's even at least one brand that makes a soy-free, gluten-free hot dog that's vegan. I can't remember. I wish those were more widely available because I kind of miss the texture sometimes. But you can actually do it with carrots. You can make carrots. Like there's a place in Los Angeles that makes hot dogs out of carrots.
Really?
Yeah, and they have like this whole process. Really cool. Anyways, that's what we're having for dinner. I'm also I really want to make you guys the chickpea crepes.
Yes.
So I bought garbanzo flour, which is chickpea is garbanzo, and you can make these amazing savory crepes or sweet crepes. We have a dog over here looking for our attention.
Or two.
And they're often called farinata or soca or pudla, I believe, and you make them almost like an omelet. I think I'm gonna make that for you like as soon as we're done recording. Mary's like, and we're done.
Yeah, like right now.
But Julie said that she's gonna have a raw noodle recipe from the Vegan Yum Yum book. That sounds great. Okay, let's answer one last question. We'll do it from Karen. Karen said, I would love a recommendation for a really great dish to prepare for my mixed diet family. I try to cook vegan, but I have omni children, husband, and even my grandchildren live with me. My sister and her family live in a town and are vegan, vegetarian, but not cooks. So, well, I mean, tonight's a perfect example.
Sure.
I mean, I feel like veggie hot dogs and burgers are so versatile. So if they're up for eating those, but if they really want to eat meat, I mean, that's a great thing with that type of thing. If you're comfortable, they could have their meat-based hot dogs. You can have your veggie-based hot dogs, or their meat-based burgers and your veggie burgers.
Mm-hmm.
I always find that's easy because you can prepare them on different, in different parts of the grill or in a different pan or something. And now it looks like you're all eating the same thing, but you're still eating the way that you want to eat, and they get to eat the way they want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to have a dish where everybody eats the same thing, I just say make it as flavorful as possible. I mean, as Mary said, I came up with a couple of different recipes over the past few nights, and it was just like a rice base with lots of vegetables and a really good sauce, and it was so filling and flavorful. I don't think anybody would miss the meat or the cheese. Mm-hmm. I've also made those really good grilled cheese sandwiches. I took some Daya cheese, I grilled them up, and my dad had actually made a regular grilled cheese earlier, and he said that mine tasted just as good, if not better. So that's another thing, is like they might love their grilled cheese or their mac and cheese, but if you find a cheese that they really love, then just make it and see if they even notice, because if it's creamy and it's flavorful, a lot of people won't know the difference. And I would say trying to do more of that. Anything that's really flavorful and satisfying and filling is going to be the key to getting people to eat vegan dishes, right? I mean, Absolutely. That's all we all really want anyways. We want to be satisfied. We want to feel full, and we want to feel like it has good flavor. So making sure that you're using lots of spices and lots of different textures, and a little bit of fat content never hurts. And it's all in that. A salt balance, you don't necessarily have to add salt, but you could add various seasonings that have almost, I guess, a very flavorful thing. Salt's really just flavor. Oil is just flavor or fat. And it's just about making enough too, because so many people think that you're just going to eat vegetables, but when you combine vegetables with a base like a grain or something, and you make a big enough portion.
So filling.
You guys you were like licking your plate clean the past couple nights, right? Yeah. You wanted more.
Yeah.
So that would be my biggest recommendation. Should we answer another question, or should we get going? One more. Okay. Okay, so Dranomaly is the username. What are the most important tips for someone who is brand new to the lifestyle?
Don't look at me.
Why?
I mean, I have been vegetarian for 12 years, so. I think just like exploring and like seeing what's out there to start, because even now, like being vegetarian for 10 years, I'm always really excited when I find new things, and I think when you're new to it, it's that much more exciting. So just going to like your local grocery store and their natural food section, like you will get there and you'll be amazed by how many alternatives there are and how many options there are. And I think that that's so important to be really confident in your decision, is to explore what's out there.
Yeah.
Check out ecovegangal.com and see all of the amazing videos and recipes she has on there, because it will just make your lifestyle change that much easier when you feel really confident saying like, wow, I can do this. There's so much that I can have and be just as satisfied as I was before I made my lifestyle change.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, we're so fortunate now. When 11 years ago when I went vegetarian, there was like barely any. I mean, the food choices were nowhere near what they are today, and the websites. I was looking back at some of the websites I used to look at, and they were like boring, and the books were boring, and now it's so different and easy. And when I started off, I just read anything I could, and I talked to other people that were vegetarian or vegan, and I did go to just a regular grocery store with a natural food section. That's where I shopped. What was that place called? I forget what that chain was. It was in Boston, and I would just go there and just buy something new every time. And
Stop and Shop, was it?
Might have been Stop and Shop. Yeah, and they had a lot of frozen stuff, and I was in college, but I would try to experiment with different recipes, and I used to go to Trader Joe's a lot, and I would get pasta and sauces, and I would get their frozen thing. I was really into frozen foods for years. And some of them can be cost effective, but they're usually like super easy to make and really flavorful. So starting there is good, but if you want to go the healthier route, I would say making as much as possible, and again, focusing on whole foods, so lots of vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds and grains, and just playing around with different flavors and spices and sauces, and you will find that it gets easier and easier. And don't be too hard on yourself. Focus on progress, not perfection. Yeah. I mean, Mary's a work in progress. Taken her 12 years.
Yep. 12 whole years.
12 years of progress. All right. Well, we're both really hungry.
Yeah.
So we're going to go. I'm going to make that farinata right now.
Sounds good to me.
I cannot stop thinking about it. And then we're going to have dinner and hang out with our family. So thank you all for watching. We had a bunch of really engaged people today with great questions. As I mentioned, I would love to hear you join in the conversation. So as soon as I stop the broadcast, it'll take a few minutes to process, and then this will be up on YouTube. So jump in and talk with each other. Leave a comment, reply to somebody else's comment, be kind, respectful of one another, but don't be afraid to disagree. You know, having a conversation about this is really helpful. And I also feel like YouTube and social media are a great way to meet new people. You might find someone who you want to follow their channel or their platform and have a really wonderful conversation and learn more about it. I'm obviously not an expert in everything. I've still got a lot to learn myself, so we can all help each other. So continue the conversation. And I hope that you enjoyed today. So let us know what you did enjoy and what you learned and what else you want to know. If you want Mary on again, would you come back on again, honestly?
I mean, I was a little bit scared.
She's not kidding. She was actually really scared.
The only time I was a little worried is when I was left with this mic by myself, but I got more comfortable as we went. I'll come back.
You will?
Well, I mean, if people want me to come back.
Yeah. I think if you guys saw Mary, if you go back, I have a whole playlist you can go see on YouTube of all the videos. There's like 15 or so that we've done over the years. She's actually very funny and very smart. So maybe next time she'll be even more comfortable, and we can.
Are you saying I was uncomfortable? Was I awkward?
A little bit. You were a little uptight at times. Relative to what you are normally. People probably didn't think so. That's just what her sister thinks. But no, you were great. You had a lot of really great things today. I was really proud of you.
Well, thanks.
Yep. I really loved what you had to say about the horses, and I just love your input too, because you remember things about our transition into vegetarian in a different way than I do, which is really cool. So anyways, another example of why if you have family members, it's great when you can influence each other, but also inspire each other, remind each other of things, and keep each other in line. It's really wonderful. Even if you have like a cousin or or a friend or whatever, having someone to do it with you is really wonderful, and I'm very grateful for my sister. I'm proud of all your progress over the years and how far you're coming, and I just love the confidence that you have with your diet and your knowledge, and I hope to see you making more meals for yourself at home instead of eating out all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, we're gonna go eat as we promised. We can't wait to hear from you in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if this is your first time watching, I do these live videos every week. I often have guests on. Sometimes I do it alone, and you can always submit your questions. If we didn't get to your question today, you thought of something afterwards, it's usually best to submit it through the bit.ly link in the description field. If you ask it on YouTube, sometimes it gets lost. So that form is really there to make sure that your question gets answered next time. And I hope to see you again in the future live, and have a fantastic weekend. We hope that, what?
No, there was a great question I saw at the bottom.
What was it?
Well, naturally I like it because you're my sister.
What?
From Kelly.
Oh. Where?
This one here.
Oh, okay.
Real quick,
because
I actually am passionate about this question.
She's dying to answer this question.
So the question is,
Kelly,
pull me in real quick.
Okay.
Does Mary feel pressure from Whitney to eat vegan? I'd love to hear this if you will talk about it. I wonder about having one sibling in the family who is vegan. At times I do. At times I definitely do. There will be situations where I am just in the mood for whatever I'm in the mood for. And it might not be vegan. And if Whitney is home or I'm visiting her, either way, there are definitely times where it's difficult because I want what I want, and Whitney may know better in some ways, but then again, she isn't always right. Sorry to say.
No, I know.
And
no one's always right.
No, but
I'm just right most of the time.
I wouldn't say there's like always pressure, but I've definitely encountered it with Whitney and like some of my lifestyle changes. And I know that she does it out of the goodness of her heart, and she really wants the best and for me to eat the healthiest way possible. But there are also situations where I feel like it should be my decision and I should be able to eat, you know, that bite of tuna or that piece of cheese, even if it doesn't agree with me, because I want to, or because, you know, it's my choice. So there are situations where I do that, and I'm open to hearing, always open to hearing like her suggestions or her reasons why. But there are plenty of situations where sure, I feel some pressure.
I feel like I've gotten better. I know I was definitely, it was much stronger, opinionated.
It was extreme at one point.
Yeah, I definitely have gone through my extreme points, as a lot of vegans do. I think we really, when we learn about it, we want everybody to live the lifestyle for whatever reason. And I've had to learn over the years to be more respectful of other people's choices and realize that I can't force anybody to eat a certain way. I mean, what am I going to do? Lock you up in a room and only put in like vegan food every now and then? I mean, and you know, on our road trip too, we came across this years ago, and just have to let go as much as possible. I definitely slip into that.
Well, and I feel like sometimes when there isn't pressure, just like anything else, the individual might be more inclined to do what you actually hope for them to do. You know, so if you're telling me eat this, but I want to eat that, I might want to eat what you're recommending without you even asking me. But as soon as you put the pressure on for me to ask, it's a bit of that stubborn, rebelling, whatever it is you want to call it, you know, that sometimes it's counterproductive.
Yeah. So I've definitely noticed that with you. You don't like to be told what to do, but she's a great reminder, and I learned a lot of lessons from that. So I'm grateful for that opportunity to practice with you.
Yeah. Anyways, there we go.
All right, we're gonna go eat. We're really hungry. Thank you all once again for watching and staying through. I noticed some people dropped off and then they came back. You guys are great. Okay, thank you so much for watching live, for watching the recording, for listening on SoundCloud. Till next Saturday, you can stay tuned on Google+, so be sure to sign up there so you'll know when these happen, but they usually happen on Saturdays. And I also make the announcements for the time and the special guests on Facebook, so EcoVeganGal, or Facebook.com/EcoVeganGal, same with Twitter. And those are usually the best ways to find out what's going on with these. And as usual, your questions really help me craft these, so if you have requests for special guests or specific questions and topics, please let me know, because these are ultimately all for you. Thank you once again, and I will see you next time. Bye.